abuse of alcohol or drugs. VA helped me and can help you too.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Classes start soon. Please call to find out more.
Join the C. Wimberly Automotive family and help feed the hungry. Donate today at your local First Source Bank or Honor Credit Union. All donations are distributed locally and every penny stays in the community. Donate today and help fill the food pantry of Dowagiac and all of Cass County for the year.
First, fast, accurate. You're watching WSBT-22 News at 5:30. This is a Special Operation Education Crisis in the Classroom Town Hall. Tonight, what's keeping our children from learning? We're exposing the barriers to education, both inside and outside the classroom in your local community.
Thank you for joining us for this Special Operation Education Town Hall. I'm Kristen Bean. Together tonight, we are changing the narrative about the barriers to education our community's children are facing. We've gathered together some of our area's top education leaders to talk about what we can all be doing to help. But first, by better understanding the challenges and struggles these children are facing, we might be able to reach those who are hardest to reach.
John Galinsky is a man of few words, but he has a story to tell.
Do you remember anything about that day?
Partial, like half the day.
That day was August 23rd of last year. Police were called to McNaughton Park in Elkhart because someone found two teens by the river unresponsive.
So somebody saw you?
Yeah.
Called 911. Police ambulance came. They revive you with Narcan?
They tried Narcan at first and then had to go to two different other things, CPR and then the electrical thing.
Tragically, Galinsky's friend died.
When did you find out about your friend?
When they was reviving me.
That day has haunted Galinsky, and that trauma will likely stay with him. But he's getting support in an important place.
So you would describe him as a success story?
Yes, yeah, and he pushed himself so hard to get to where he's at. Yes, he's an amazing success story.
Galinsky is a senior at Elkhart Academy.
So we're the alternative high school program for Elkhart Community Schools.
Principal Brian Hammondtree says all of the students at Elkhart Academy end up there because the traditional school isn't working for them and they're on track to drop out.
I believe students' behavior is trying to communicate something to us.
For some students, like Galinsky, their trauma deeply impacts their life.
There's students that walk through the door each and every day that have a lot on their plate. They're carrying heavy burdens, right? And they just need some help carrying them.
Had you asked me a year ago at this time, I might have said that John was a hard-to-reach student, that I wasn't sure we were going to get to that point. But I feel like because even feeling that way, we don't give up.
Maybe the lesson then for all of us watching, from the outside is like, you can't give up.
I'm thankful that's what we believe here.
Galinsky will graduate in June. He wants to be a mechanic. He credits his success to the people at Elkhart Academy, his family, and the friend he'll never forget.
I've just been trying to stay out of stuff, keep to myself, work, do my schoolwork, and try to graduate, just accomplish stuff.
And you feel like, in part, you're doing it for him?
Yeah.
Story today to show that sometimes what a student is experiencing isn't always visible or easy to understand, and that those things can be barriers. That's why for the next half hour, we're sitting down with the experts. Our panel tonight is comprised of the people who are seeing the needs within our school communities and working to break the barriers that are keeping our kids from succeeding. Hear from Lindsey Brander. Brander is the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services at Elkhart Community Schools. You're going to hear from Dr. Davion Lewis. He's the Chief Executive Officer at the South Bend Empowerment Zone. That's a group of schools on South Bend's west side that are part of a transformational plan. Stephanie Steward-Bridges. Stephanie is the Director of African American Student and Parent Services at the South Bend Community School Corporation. And Seth Maust. Seth is co-founder and president of 5 Star Life. It's a nonprofit focused on addressing student dropout rates, suicide, violence, and mental health issues by changing kids' mindsets. So thank you all so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. I want to start by defining who we are talking about tonight. We're focusing on reaching students who are hardest to reach, but I think really the question tonight is, what are some of the barriers that children in our community are experiencing that might be keeping them from getting that education, from taking that next step in life?
Thanks for hosting this, first of all. I think everything goes back to, you think about kids that are the hardest to reach. They're in a gang, they're experimenting with drugs, they're in detention centers, they're getting into trouble. It all goes back to fatherlessness. You can call it, family attachments or lack thereof. But when kids are in a position where they don't have somebody that's pouring into them, they learn that they have very little value, right? So why am I going to value education when I don't value myself? And how can I value education if I have nobody holding me accountable? And so I think those attachments create the true barriers, and everything else is kind of a ripple effect off that.
One of the things that we talked with social workers about and the principal at Elkhart Academy is that, all students in a way really have something, like all behavior indicates something, is them trying to communicate something. And so I wonder, are there, the list of things that make students hard to reach might be very long. There's not just one thing.
Yeah, rates of depression and anxiety are unprecedented right now in our students. That can severely impact motivation. They're feeling hopeless about the future, so they really don't want to engage in school, engage with their friends and families, and it overall will impact how they succeed.
And I wonder, poverty, homelessness, children in foster care, things that they themselves can't control, it's like outside factors.
Yeah, so, one of the things I like to remind folks is that our schools are essentially a microcosm of our community. So whatever is happening in a community is going to manifest and play out in a school. And so if in that community there is high rates of poverty or crime, violence, if you have a large segment of the population that is unhoused, all of these things are going to manifest in schools. And so what I like to tell folks is that just as how in a community you will bring together a variety of different resources, you'll have the mayor's office, the police department, fire, so on and so forth, our schools as microcosms of communities also require the same varied resources that you would have in any community. And I might just add as well that young people today are dealing with things that probably none of us had to deal with when we were growing up. Many of the young people today are income earners for their families. They provide childcare if, depending on the family dynamics, so it's just a lot going on for young people today that they have to navigate, and we really haven't really scratched the surface yet.
And I wonder how this impacts kids in the classroom as well.
Well, I think another thing that contributes to that is that historical stigma around mental health. So it impacts kids in the classroom because they can hide, because so many times they've been told, get over it, there's nothing wrong with you. Just barriers to be able to address what's really going on with them. And so they have a tendency to hide in various different behaviors that they can't even recognize or explain. And so that shows up in the classroom.
Yeah.
That's the very first place where we have the social expectation to adapt to change in a positive way. And a lot of times they don't have the capacity or the ability to do that because they don't have the privilege of some of the home lives that we've had. And so it creates this barrier for them and their inability to communicate how they're feeling as well.
And I want to say too, a lot of those that you talk about cause trauma, and we've heard the word trauma so often. And that actually leads us into our next topic, trauma. Who is struggling with this? What is it? And how is it impacting our kids? We're going to talk about that next. So make sure you stay with us.
Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot gives you precise forecasts for your bus stop and after-school plans. Don't get caught off guard by changing weather. Watch Carrie Peugeot's bus stop forecast on WSBT-22 first in the morning.
Tonight, a powerful storm slams the Northeast, bringing heavy rains, flooding, damaging winds, and power outages. And 1 year after Southwest's holiday meltdown, what should holiday travelers watch for? Plus, a landlady's Christmas kindness on the CBS Evening News.
Toyotathon is on. Time to make the holidays picture perfect with a new Toyota. We're going to need a bigger tree.
Get 3.99% APR plus $1,000 cash back on Tacoma when you finance through Toyota Financial Services. Toyota, let's go places.
Imagine a home where every season brings comfort, not worries. That's the Home Comfort Expert's promise. Right now, when you buy a new air conditioner from us, we'll gift you the furnace. Yes, you heard it right. The furnace is absolutely free. Why wait? Step into energy savings and year-round comfort with the technicians you can trust with your house keys at Home Comfort Experts. Schedule your appointment online today at callhomecomfort.com and let the savings begin.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world.
Hey, you're sober? You drive.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Looking for an Affordable Care Act plan's a piece of cake, right? If you like reviewing dozens of plans all by yourself. Or you can turn to Health Markets and let your local licensed insurance agent make it easier to find the right plan for you. Working together, we'll help you compare plans to find one that fits your needs and budget. The ACA enrollment period is here. Don't wait. Call the number on your screen to talk with your local Health Markets agent today.
Toyotathon is on. Make your holidays a little more magical with a new Toyota. Come in today.
Get $1,000 cash back on your favorite models when you finance through Toyota Financial Services. Toyota, let's go places.
Spread joy this Christmas by joining us as a bell ringer.
When did you find out about your friend?
When they was reviving me.
The trauma is, I think the response is, how do we help?
Thank you again for joining us on this special Operation Education Town Hall. You just saw Elkhart senior John Galinsky talk about the moment he found out his friend wasn't going to make it, and his high school principal calling it trauma. So the question for our panelists is, what is trauma and how does it impact the kids in our area?
Yeah, great question. So I'll start off by saying in various ways, all of us as human beings experience trauma. We navigate and deal with that trauma in different ways. But for young people, unfortunately, they don't necessarily have the skills or the vocabulary to best navigate that trauma. Some of that is cultural, some of that is generational. So you think about, you might hear your parents or grandparents say, well, when I was your age, we just sucked it up, right? And some of it is cultural as well. Different cultures have different practices around how we speak about our feelings. We just kind of pass things on to the next generation. So it's important to note that, again, we all experience trauma, and for young people, it's all about helping them to develop the skill sets and the vocabulary in order to best navigate it.
And what is trauma-informed? We hear this all the time, like, oh, this school is a trauma-informed school, or I'm teaching trauma-informed. What does that mean?
I think it really means that trauma can show up in the behaviors that we see in the classroom. All behavior is communication, and being aware of how our own trauma will impact the way we interact with our students, because relationships, we feed off each other. So the more we can be informed about the things that our students are experiencing, the more we can help them and get them into that learning state where they're able to learn and grow as humans.
And I wonder how that trauma impacts kids in the classroom. We see test scores. We see, as an outsider, the data, the school achievement, right? Is that also, an indicator of trauma?
Well, I think when you think about it, a kid can't learn if they can't think. So when a person is, I mean, think about yourself. When you're stressed out, how well can you retain information? So it's important to consider as children, when they don't have the language to navigate what they're feeling, when they come to a classroom, they may not be able to express how they feel the way we expect them to. So it comes out a lot of times like aggression. So when a student is really dysregulated, it's important for the adult to be regulated so they can create the capacity in the classroom for that student to gain the knowledge that they need to.
What is the message, I think, then for people out there who, you know, you can't always see trauma, right? But as a community, you can be maybe more empathetic and sympathetic. Like what maybe should us as outsiders be doing?
Well, I think awareness is a big key, just being aware that, man, life is tough. And I think all of us can agree. I mean, who would want to sign up to being a kid growing up in today's culture? It is so hard. So they have so much pressure. And so I think, you know, suck it up, buttercup is the message we've been giving kids, and it's not working. So we have to be aware that, man, if we can just help these kids know that, listen, I hear you. Here are some tools. You can get through this. We all go through tough times. Here's some tools to help you be resilient.
Yeah, and you know, trauma care closely resembles mental health care. So we're talking about mental health care next when our Special Operation Education Town Hall continues. Make sure to stay with us.
I would, yeah.
Bob Warner, he's just...
Bob Warner, anybody, we just...
Now, your accurate storm alert weather forecast with meteorologist Lynette Grant.
We'll get you right back to that town hall in a little bit, but I did want to bring you a quick update on what we're dealing with weather-wise. This is not new information. The fact that we have